وما لكم لا تؤمنون بالله والرسول يدعوكم لتؤمنوا بربكم وقد أخذ ميثاقكم إن كنتم مؤمنين.
It is a unique moment. It will remain in your reminiscences, a very unique moment, not only for yourselves personally, but for your parents, for your mom and dad. And I'd like you at this moment to think for a fraction of a minute of your mom and dad who have been there for you as you studied and you went through the hardships and arduous times of AUS, and give them as well a very warm applause. You now have the flexibility and independence of mind and personal drive to formulate the new solutions sought by your employers as you begin your careers in whatever field you find yourself in. And these, believe me, my dear graduates, are not trite words. Just a few more words. You definitely will be revisiting AUS many more times in upcoming years. There will be new buildings that would have been constructed. The campus will undoubtedly grow, but the core values and the imprint of the AUS education will remain the same. Congratulations, class 2013, on your impending graduation, and many congratulations on becoming an official AUS alumnus or alumna. Please remember, yes, you can do this again. Please remember, as you explore the new worlds that you will no doubt explore, that AUS will remain your alma mater, your second home away from home. Before being elected as president of the Alumni Association, Ahmed Jubouri served as the president, and I am sure that his remarks will be as cogent and insightful as usual. Would you please welcome him to the podium?
What we like to think of ourselves as doing is providing four main value propositions for our alumni. The first one being to be a networking platform. As you understand, in today's very difficult world, it's a challenge to find careers, and the world's evolved a lot more than a few years ago, especially the UAE, given the fast and rapid rate of development. And it's no longer enough to have a good CV or to have good grades or to have accomplishments, but really you've got to couple that with networks, fellow alumni that have graduated before you, and leverage those connections so that you can have and gain access to a lot of the companies that you're seeking to get into. It's also integrated with a career platform called Simplicity. It's your own, your very own Career Central, integrated into the portal itself. And of course, there's the alumni reunion dinner, which you'll all be welcome to attend from this point onwards. The other aspect is the developmental aspect. So we hold a lot of the workshops, which you may have heard or may not have heard, but the workshops that we hold are centered around skills building and around leadership building. And these are meant to couple your qualifications to make a better candidate or more formidable candidate when you go for your interviews. The third aspect is giving. We expect our students or our alumni to give back to their alma mater. No matter how you look upon your experience at AUS. Now, enough about AUSAA. I just want to leave you with two, let's say, pieces of advice that I would have loved someone to tell me when I was graduating. And I would say the first thing is, if you want to be successful, surround yourselves with successful people and avoid useless people. Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, mentioned two circles, the circle of influence and the circle of concern. Some people are preoccupied in the circles of concern, and some people are preoccupied in the circles of influence. So surround yourselves with people who are preoccupied in the circles of influence. These people are the ones that are high achievers. They've accomplished so much, and they can have a very positive spillover effect on your future. And the second piece of advice is to make sure that you leverage the next 5 years, because the next 5 years will probably be the most important or the most crucially conducive to you achieving the future that you want to achieve. The AHK was set up to help develop trade and business relationships between Emirati and German companies, and the organization has 450 members. It is one of 120 AHKs in 80 countries worldwide, which fulfill the role of German foreign business development on behalf of the Federal Republic of Germany. Mr. Kroll is also an executive board member of the Arab-German Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Harold Kroll graduated from the University of Applied Sciences in Ludwigshafen in 1984 with a degree in business administration. I'd like you to join me in welcoming him to the podium.
Okay. No, the real reason why I'm here is that Dr. Nada asked me whether I can get a bit more active in, say, philanthropy of higher education. And I said yes. And then she asked me, can you do this? And I said yes. And she said, okay, then you can do that. And I said yes. And then ultimately, after a long list of other yeses, she asked me whether I can give a keynote, and I said yes. So just to help you out, my language, my vocabulary is not lacking the word no. It is just that I'm a bit passionate. And this topic of dealing with people is very dear to me. There's enough change either from the outside world coming in or from mergers and acquisitions, which we have done a lot of throughout the last 5 or 10 years. And changing from one organization that is very much upstream to the raw materials to another one, which is very close to consumer products. You find totally different cultures inside company that you have to inherit. So there is enough change inside company. The rest you already know. Yes. Who does not know BASF? I would not surprise if now most of you raised their hands. So who does not know BASF? 1, 2, 3, great. That's the audience I want to have. Everybody knows BASF. Okay, we are the chemical company, largest of its kind in this world. There's a lot of figures if you want to look it up. Just on the bottom there is the link. You can read it. It's the investor relations, loads of data, loads of pictures, quite touching videos even we have. The most important part to you is we consider ourselves to be very innovative, not only in how we do business, but with the products that we invent first to then sell them. Almost 1,200 patents out of 1.7 billion euros we spent, and that is amongst the world leading figures that you find in this particular industry. 2,800 vocational trainings or trainees we have. This is something I think out here in the UAE we miss a little bit, vocational training, because it would nicely add to building an economy. In the year 2050, there would be 9 billion people on this earth, which is how many more than today? Anybody knows? How many people do we have on this earth right now? 6? 5? 4? 6? Whatever, 6. So if you said 50% more people, and already we were in 2010 by a spending of 1.5 times the resources we have on this wide world, you can easily come to the point that it's getting to become more critical. You have to become more effective and more efficient. So that touches areas of resources, environment and climate. We do see that. Global warming, everybody knows this. It touches areas of food and nutrition. We every morning want to have our breakfast, we every evening want to have our dinner, and so on. And last but not least, everybody wants to have a TV, everybody wants to have a smartphone, and so on. So it's about the quality of life. All that is going to change and has to become more. So we as a chemical industry say chemistry is an enabler to allow that. So this is areas where we would say we have to be active. Sustainability and innovation as a main driver. Sustainability I will come back to. Anybody familiar with the idea, the concept of sustainability? Wow. More? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, good. You will be delighted to see what comes next. Thinking about now how that relates back to us, and having been asked to give a keynote to you, the future of our world, my answer to that is education and training. Education is something that you do right now. Do you do training as well? Who is in sports? So you do training, okay. Training as well will apply later on once you are in a job. Do you know everything when you enter a new job? Probably don't. Hopefully you don't, otherwise you wouldn't get thrilled. And thrill and passion is something that gets you up in the morning and gets you go to the office that you already know, right? So education and training, from my point of view, is what makes you go. On the other side, you have an environment which I could translate as norms and tradition. I don't want to talk about religion, don't want to talk about politics, because anyway you can't help, can you? You can change the region you live in, you can change the country you live in, so you escape, sort of. But norms and tradition will always be with you because you have been trained in this by, I will tell you whom. So, how shall we now get into change? How now shall we get into sustainable future? How shall we get into innovation? And how again shall you do that? Because when you get very productive, I will be retiring. Yeah? So you have to pay my pension, inshallah. So there are 3 parts to it. To me, again, it's a circle. On the one side, to me, it starts with who educates. When we were with this forum, Dr. Nada, with Sheikha, Dr. Sheikha, I think it was, yeah, she said, well, actually, it starts at the labs of your mother, doesn't it? She will talk first, I mean, father again, okay. But it's normally the mother that starts first to really have an imprint on us, yeah? That size, I mean, yeah. So that's where we first get an idea or get submitted concepts. We may not understand them fully, but this is where it starts. Later on, it gets into society that has brought up educational systems, and you name it, and institutions who then think that they know everything best. So you have to learn, as they say, to get good marks, right? Gets me back to the sustainability topic. Gets me back to ecology, economy, and society. How do we look into that? If you looked into the economy and ecology part, us as a company, we tackle that in raising awareness, in talking about efficiency and talking about innovation. One topic that I see out here is, I'm not very much convinced that you are best in class when it is about water and electricity consumption. Would you agree? I sometimes have the impression that still the common knowledge is water is out of the tap and electricity out of the socket. And the only thing I have to do is press button. Thing is, whenever you do that, you cause a lot. First, all that has to get manufactured and produced. Question is how efficient. Desalination plants out here, how old are they? Do you know that? Who is in ecology? Or who is, in ecology actually. Anybody ecology? No? Some of these plants have been built decades ago. Do you think they are most efficient? Nope. So then I normally tend to say to my discussion partners, do you want to burn your oil and your gas, or do you want to sell it and get some revenues? So it's time to think about efficiency, yeah? So then down here, the combination between economy and society to us is CSR, corporate social responsibility. That gets us again into education, which is you, us here. And on the other side, it's something back and forth between branding and advocacy. I don't want to touch this. That is more than us making known to you, gets into us as being or becoming an employer of choice and a company that you will love and to buy shares from so that our share values go up. Yeah? So, aging workforce, what does that give you? You are the future. Aging workforce. There's unfortunately, I didn't find the source for that, and I asked you for that, but you haven't either. If you had a graph, yeah, y-axis, x-axis, yeah, on the x-axis you would have age clusters, say by 10 years. Forget about below 20s, yeah, because that's not you, right? So from 20 we start, 30, 40, 50, 60. Okay, 60 is pension. And then you would, on the y-axis, you would have number of people, what you would see. If you put demographics on such a chart, in particular when it is about entities, you would see a lot of workforce towards the right to the right on the x-axis. 30, 40, 50 years old. Actually 40, 50 years old. What would you assume? Loads of experience, loads of skills, loads of whatever. And then what you see to the left? See another big hype. You see a Boeing, exactly. You see another big hype. Yeah? So there is a lot of youngsters, yeah, fresh graduates, early career professionals coming into market, into these companies. But what's the problem? There's a one hype here, and there's a one hype there. And where's the bridge? If you did nothing for the next 10 years, all these oldies will drop off the axis, yeah? Leave company, go for pension. What happens next? You're a dipshit. You're a dipshit because you don't know what to do. Nobody has told you. If you would not go for that, or the company would not arrange for knowledge transfer, named training. So education is good, training is necessary. Globalization, all known, huh? Nothing new. World 3.0, that's a rapidly changing environment, actually. When I address to our staff on a quarterly basis, one of my first sentences is what? There is nothing as permanent and stable as change out here. When I go home in the evening, I know exactly what I do tomorrow. Tomorrow under the shower, I still remember what I want to do. When I'm in office, I get surprised I do something else. Is that true? Of course not. I would be a bad manager if that was true, but is there always surprises? So internal focus areas are recruiting. That's our future. Yeah? You are our future. I'm outdated. I'm version 2.0, whatever. Lifelong learning. Don't forget about this. Compelling total offer, this is what you have to ask for. Yeah? Performance management. Wherever you go, let them explain to you how they measure whether you have done good or bad. Ask whether they are local, multinational or global, because all that you will feel later on in the company culture. Okay. So, it's about the genetic composition, as I always say, of the companies and the values of a company that you really, really, really should be careful with once you go for an interview and you get into the shiny new office where you feel very impressed by, I don't know, good smelling coffee and people with a tie. Yeah? Fine. So, constant change, resources limited, we need sustainable concepts from raw materials down to education. We need sustainable education, including local content, if needed, I mean, if you want it. And it's about the corporate citizens that you later on will form. And that, I think, is it. Yeah, so good luck for your future ventures.
And I'm afraid, Harold, for all of the yeses that you have said to the American University of Sharjah and to myself, you have just earned yourself an invitation as keynote speaker to the Arab International Environment Forum, which will be held here at AUS on the 27th and 28th of October, and to coach some alumni sometimes during the fall. Please give him a very warm round of applause. And I'm sure some of you will want to connect with him personally. Ahmad Jubouri, the president of the Alumni Association, who represents our 10,000 alumni, will tell you now his email address, and I'm inviting you to please connect with him and his peers as you move forward in life. Thank you very much for being with us. Let's go have lunch as soon as Ahmed has given you his contact information.
Okay, it's president at alumni.aus.edu. How cool is that? Thank you very much. Thanks.